Welcome back to your Daily Dose. My name is Robert here with my pal Amy, a fellow board member with Yes and Exercise. We're talking about the cinema therapy program, Back to the Future. Amy is one of the students who has taken the first round of the class, and I'm so glad that you've done such a great job in it and gotten so much out of it. We were talking about how you related to the film differently and how it affected you, and we're talking too about kind of rewriting past and characters in this movie. They got all of their parts rewritten, and what I mean was there was an effect that changed who they became. And we mentioned the character of Doc Brown, right? He was a man who was a relative failure in his own mind when we met him, and just on fire because of it. He just had to keep proving someone would pay attention to him until and strict science. That's all there was. If it wasn't science, I don't want to hear about it, right? But the final bit of forgiveness, which we know, if you haven't seen, Back to the Future, sorry, spoiler alerts. when he accepts reading that note of kindness from Marty, who he became, what happened to you? Because you mentioned that transformation of Doc. What did you feel or notice? We just watched that scene this week.
I'm trying to remember what I said before. What did I see or notice when he pulled out the old letter that had been taped and it was yellow, and
Yeah.
Marty is just so relieved, and he's like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what did you say?" And he's,
Well,
I identified, or I felt exactly the same as Doc. I was thinking the same way for my own memories and where my character went in my story, because there was a lot of time traveling, and I just allowed it. I allowed it to happen because it doesn't don't try to make too much sense out of it. It just happened. But in the process of the time traveling, what really happened was the core of the person, Doc, or my character, that just opened up and accepted a lot of things.
you said something really important there too about the not trying to make too much sense about it and accepting it. That's where Doc got in that line when Marty said, what about that whole thing of messing up the whole space-time continuum? And he goes, well, I figured, what the hell? I mean, Doc actually let go, right? I mean, and decided now I get to be something almost I think I never imagined I could be. And I think we can do that when we accept and become resolved with the past, rather than trying to constantly try to fix it or shape it into something that it wasn't, and say, oh, well, that's what it was. So okay, now I can be. Does that sound right? Because your story feels similar to that.
Yeah, because that's where I am at, in alignment with my character, which is very much based on me. Is there's a lot of letting go, a lot of relaxing, a lot of being calm, a lot of not ignoring, but putting off. I'm not sure if it's putting off the Parkinson's and how it's going to affect me in the future. You'll see in my resurrection what I've come up with. Something that it's a new thing, it's new stakes, and it's taking me away from, okay, Parkinson's I can put over here. I know I need to think about it, and I know it's my enemy, but I'm not going to let it get me right now.
Yeah. Well, and in your story, we talk a lot about aesthetic distance. And, I felt like I had to work with you a lot to keep reminding you, remember, this isn't you. This
Yeah.
is a character based on you,
Yeah.
to allow you to allow the story. Because I would see, sometimes you go, yeah, but that's not what happened. I'd say, remember, it doesn't matter what actually happened.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I know. And I got into that. I loved it, because especially when I brought in a fictional,
Oh, you?
not exactly a mentor, but a guide, you know, my trickster, he just he kept me going. I
Yeah.
don't know if he kept me honest, but he kept me going, and I think that helped a lot, because it was so much fun that as I keep writing, I want more fun. So
Well, that's it. And I think I can see that a couple times in your writing when you've allowed yourself, even going back to your past piece with Inside Out, to, you characterize, apathetic Annie, and you allowed your character to kick her butt a little bit. And in this case, you characterized Q, who was doing this the same way, based on a real Star Trek character whom you love, and you got your own version of him. And like you say, what was so interesting was it wasn't like he was a true mentor, always just, buddy, buddy. But boy, was he's always stirring the pot.
yeah.
Always.
Yeah, well, he was keeping me on track, kind of, actually,
Yeah.
what he's been doing.
Yeah. It's almost
He's
like,
been bringing me back when I'd stray. He'd say, you
right.
have to do this.
He's kind of
You're not done yet."
right. He's kind of a Zen dungeon master almost, right? I mean, he's
Yeah, yeah,
right. He knows the rules, and he's not going to punish you necessarily, but he's going to remind you, and
you're right. He's a dungeon master.
well, there's a lot more to it. Let's come back and talk about this in the next episode.
Okay.
See you in a minute.